Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today's video, I am going to count down or rank the Best Picture nominees. The Oscars is this Sunday. The big show, 97th Oscars. If you know me, I'm obsessed with the Oscars. I watch it every year and love predicting the winners. I try to watch as many movies as I can that get nominated and love to review them as well. I did catch up with 9 nominees out of 10. Only one I did not catch up with was I'm Still Here, which is a Brazilian foreign film that isn't on any kind of streaming and isn't in the theater around where I live. So that one's definitely a hard one to catch up to, but I did catch up with 9 of them. That's not bad. 9 out of 10. So I'm going to rank the 9 movies that I saw from 9 to 1, the worst to the best. And let's just say, not a lot of movies I enjoyed out of this. Best Picture, usually the Academy nominates the worst movies of the year for me. A lot of these are on my top 10 worst movies of the year kind of list. And the other ones that weren't on there would be on there if I would have seen them beforehand. But yeah, and also I want to mention that I have a contest on my channel, predicting the Oscars contest. You can enter in. I did a whole page on my channel, on my community tab, explaining the rules, and you're just predicting who you think is going to win in pretty much every category except for the 4 short categories: the documentary short, animated short, live action short, or is there 3 of them? Maybe those 3 categories. Everything else, though, I have, you can predict them and then send them to me, and you get entered into the contest. Anyway, so far I've had 5 people enter in the contest, being Mike from Did You See That, Ryan Swells from Not Your Normal Geek, Adam from What the Gym, Sin from Sin's Corner, and Ryan Conway from Real Talks with Ryan. I have your 5 entered in, so only 5 people entered in, so you have a good chance of winning since there's only 5 people so far. But just to say, if you want to enter in before Sunday, and I will put you into the contest anyway. So please get those out. Would love to have more people join in. It makes it a little more fun, I think, of a contest. Anyway, besides that, let's get to the ranking of the Best Picture nominees. All right, I hope everybody's doing well. It is a Friday afternoon, and yeah, excited to get to the Oscars Sunday. I said Oscars have been pretty bad recently, and most of the time I don't agree with the movies that get nominated or agree with the movie that wins. Is normally not my favorite movie of the year. I think they nominate some of the worst stuff I've ever seen. It's just my views on a good movie is way different than what the Academy thinks is a good movie, unfortunately. I still have fun, seeing who's going to win, seeing the speeches. And I think this year is actually going to be better just because Conan O'Brien is hosting. And Conan O'Brien's he's my favorite late night talk show host of all time. I think he's one of the funniest people ever. Like, he's one of my favorite people of all time. I watch anything that Conan's in, I watch it. I listen to his podcast. I watched his late night show for, decades. Watched all of his specials on HBO that he did. He did a special on there. Anyways, yeah, if Conan's in it, I'm in it. And I've been wanting Conan to host for like the last 20 years at least. I feel like 20 years ago I said the best host would be Conan O'Brien. And it's insane that they haven't asked him yet or he hasn't hosted yet. It's like 20 years later, finally he's hosting. I'm like, finally? That was a no-brainer. Conan O'Brien, I think, is going to be like maybe the best host we've ever had. And that's going to help the Oscars a lot because Jimmy Kimmel is probably the worst host I've ever seen, or at least up there is one of the worst hosts I've ever seen. And that makes the whole, I don't know, having a good host come out and do a really good monologue, I think makes the Oscars even better. And it also comes in and does little bits. I don't know, it just makes the Oscar just more enjoyable, more fun. And the whole point of the Oscars is to be entertaining to the people that are watching it, I think. And so you want to try to make as many laughs. You want to be, entertaining, all that. Anyway, so I think that's going to help. Anyway, that's my hope for this year's Oscars. There's a couple movies I'm rooting for, and we'll get to that. But yeah, I've seen 9 nominees. In fact, yesterday I counted up with 3 of them. And so I went from 6 to 9. Like I said, I haven't seen I'm Still There, I'm Still Here. Sorry, I'm Still Here. I still haven't seen that. It's a Brazilian movie nominated for Best Picture and Best uh, like foreign film, and Fernanda Torres nominated for Best Actress. So it's got a couple nominees in there. Kind of came out of nowhere. No one was talking about that movie, and it got nominated. And I'm like, geez, they love nominating foreign films lately. Every year, there's like 2 foreign films that get nominated for Best Picture, and I usually never like them. So I don't have any hopes for that. But let's get to the 9 that I have seen, and I'm gonna rank them 9 to 1. So in ninth spot, the worst movie I've seen, I think, nominated for Best Picture, and it's hard because there's so many movies I absolutely hated that got nominated for Best Picture. Almost all of them I actually hated, thought were just terrible movies. And so this is like, what movie did I like, or what movie did I hate the least? Is kind of, and it's hard because I go, oh gosh, if I had to watch this movie or this movie, which one would I pick? Very difficult choices, but number 9 spot, I'm putting Nickel Boys here. And Nickel Boys was definitely a one that was like, I think barely made it in. It was like between that and like Sing Sing and September 5 were like like I said, were like the 3 that I thought one of those 3 are gonna get in, maybe 2, but not all 3. And it ended up being Nickel Boys, which I haven't seen Sing Sing or September 5, but those look like more interesting movies than Nickel Boys. So I'm kind of disappointed, a little bit disappointed in Nickel Boys. Nickel Boys is one of those very obscure movies I feel like that if it came out in theaters, I don't remember it coming out in theaters, and I didn't go see it, of course, in the theater. And I didn't hear a lot of people talk about it. It seemed like it was a movie that not a lot of people reviewed or talked about. So I knew next to nothing about this movie when I saw it yesterday, actually. I caught around seeing it. And I kind of knew that there was a weird way they shot it. I think I heard something like that. I knew it was about, 2 black kids in a reform school. And so I knew there was going to be like racism or something like that, which I'm not crazy about movies that deal with racism as much. But yeah, and I saw this, and man, I really hated the way they shot this movie. It was so off-putting. The whole movie is shot through the point of view of one of the 2 main characters, basically. I think it was Ellsworth and Turner, I think 2 main kids that you see in the movie. It's so weird, and the angles are so weird because you're seeing from the point of view of the person, so they're turning their head, and that's the camera. It's just nothing's framed right, nothing looks right, and just the way the movie's, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's like the way the movie was structured was just so weird and odd, and just really didn't work. And it was just, for me, it was so boring. I was just so bored. This is number 9 because it was the most boring movie I think I saw. It was the hardest one to get through because I was like, I just don't know what's going on, and don't care what's going on. And I feel like it was just so slow moving, and it was hard to really follow what's going on because of the way they shot it. And I don't know, it's like when you make a movie, there's a structure that everybody usually follows. There's, like how to write a movie 101 or how to shoot a movie 101. And here's the process that you go by, and how all the great directors and writers go by this process, and it's worked for 100 years. And this guy's like, I'm just gonna throw the whole book out the window and do it a whole different way. And I'm watching going, okay, there's a reason why there's a book written by how you write and direct movies, and this is how you structure, and this is how it works. It's worked for 100 years for a good reason, because that's the way it works. It works the best that way. And sometimes maybe you can do something different. Like I know people are like, you want some experimentation, I guess, but it's like sometimes you experiment and it doesn't work like this one. It's like, I feel like just the structure didn't work, the way it's shot didn't work, the whole point of view. I hate it because it's like, because the guy could, it's like you're looking through the eyes of the character. So sometimes the character's looking down the ground, so now you're looking at the ground, or sometimes he's laying down and you're staring at the guy's hand for minutes, and it's like, okay, this is not interesting filmmaking. It is boring filmmaking. And I had to go on the Google and Google like, what the heck happened in this movie? I don't know what happened. I'm kind of confused. Except that I know it's like, this kid, he gets put in a reform school, and then there's abuse happening, there's racism happening, and they tried to escape at the, anyways, and I won't reveal too much, but it's not really a happy ending. It's really kind of a tragic ending to the movie, and there's just nothing enjoyable about it to me. So number 9 is Nickel Boys. Number 8 is Emilia Perez. which came on Netflix, and it is the worst musical I've ever seen in my life. And I love musicals, huge fan of musicals, and the music was just horrid. I didn't even know it was a musical when I saw it. I remember I was like, oh, this is getting a lot of buzz for best, for a lot of Oscars. So when I got on Netflix, I was like, oh, I'm gonna check this out. And the very first scenes, Zoe sat down and started to sing and dance, and I'm like, is this a musical? Like, I guess I didn't hear anybody say it, because I heard people talk about the movie, like, oh, it's gonna be a big movie or something like that. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll check it out, see what the buzz is. And I'm like, I had no idea it was a musical. And the music is horrid. There's people that just can't sing. The music numbers are just written just terribly. The main actress, Sophia Gaston, can't sing worth a lick, and her scenes are horrible, just horrible. All her singing scenes, and her acting was terrible. And that person's nominated for Best Actress. Yeah, I know the movie, of course, it's obviously not a movie for me, because it's dealing with transgenderism. This drug cartel guy wants to be a woman and all this, and so it goes through a lot of that, which to me, I'm like, I don't care about that subject matter, don't really want to watch a movie with that subject matter in it. So it's like, already I'm like, like a little off-putting for me. And obviously it's the Academy is very liberal, very woke, so they're going to enjoy a movie like this. They're going to want to, and maybe they don't like the movie, but they're going to nominate for Best Picture because, hey, it deals with woke stuff like transgenderism, so it's in here. We gotta, what do you call it? I'm not thinking of the word, but you gotta pat yourself on the back that hey, I voted for a movie that's about transgenderism. How good am I? Something signaling, and I'm not thinking of the word. But anyways, that's the only reason why I think this movie is even considered for any nominations, is because of the subject matter, and they want to promote transgenderism, so it's in here. But every reviewer I've seen has given this a bad review. Like, everybody I know on YouTube that I'm friends with that do movie reviews does not like this movie. I even heard people that the gay lesbian community doesn't like this movie, or the transgenderism movie doesn't like this movie. Mexican people don't like this movie because it takes place in Mexico, but the director is French, and so it's like the guy doesn't really know Mexican culture. Yeah, it's weird that the French guy made a movie dealing with Mexican culture. It's just all weird all around. And the fact that I got 13 nominations, I know a lot of people are like, it's mind-boggling. Like, nobody likes this movie. And to me, it was just really boring. Like, and a lot of that's because the subject matter, but it's just very, I don't know, not interesting. None of the subject matter was interesting to me. The characters weren't interesting. The musical numbers were just god-awful. Every time they had to sing or do something, I'm like, oh my God, this is horrible. And it's just slow-moving, and I don't know, it just was so non-interesting. It was very dark. I feel like the cinematography is very dark all the time. I don't know, I didn't like the visuals of it. And it was done in a foreign language, so that makes me less interested personally. Like, I don't care about foreign films where I have to read the subtitles. It makes them less interesting to me. That's just me. But anyways, so it's just everything that I don't like about movies was in this movie. And I didn't put it in my top 10 worst movies only because it was on Netflix, and I didn't care to talk about movies that were on Netflix. I want to talk about movies that came out in the theater. So I kind of didn't put that, but if I did, it would definitely be my top 10 worst movies of the year. So of course I got nominated for 13 Oscars, including Best Picture and all this anyways. So, but yeah, it's no surprise here. Emilia Perez, number 8 on my list. All right, number 7, this could be a bit of a surprise, but if you follow my channel, I really did not like this movie, and that is Dune Part 2. And I will give it credit that at least, like, it's a movie that people actually saw. So I like the fact I'm not against it getting nominated, because I like movies that people actually like and saw in the movie theater and did well, and all that. And it's got it's a big epic blockbuster type movie. It wasn't for me. I didn't get it. I just didn't care for it. But I understand a lot of people love it. A lot of people have it like in their best movies of the year. And, and visually, it's got a lot of good stuff going for it visually. And it's a sci-fi, like fantasy type movie. So there's some stuff to like about it. I had it really low on my list in top worst movie. I think I had it number 3, my 3rd worst movie of the year. And that just goes to say that I thought it was just super boring. It was so long, boring, so confusing. The big part is that I didn't understand what was going on at all. Like I remember watching it because I watched Dune Part 1 and I didn't like that one either. And everybody said, oh, you might like Dune Part 2. It's got more action in it. You might get more into it. I'm like, okay. So I had a little hope that, okay, maybe it's going to be more interesting the second part. And like 5 minutes into Dune Part 2, I'm watching on Max. And about 5 minutes in, I'm like, I am so confused about what's going on. I don't know who these characters are. I don't know why they're making these choices or who's that. Someone show up and go, who the heck is that guy? And he's a major character all of a sudden. I'm like, okay, like how is this guy now? Did I miss something? Who's this guy? Why is he a big deal? And who are these people? And why they're fighting these people? And why they're making? I don't know. I was just so confused throughout the movie. I don't know. It's just one of those things where I could not follow it. I was bored to tears and all that, and so that's why it's so low on my list. But again, I understand other people enjoy it more than I do. But that's Dune Part 2 at number 7. Um, Number 6, I'm gonna go with another movie people seem to like, but I just thought it was boring as heck, and that was Conclave. Here at number 6, it was also in my top 10 worst movies of the year. I really did not care for this movie either. Um, and a lot of it's just like, I just don't care about. The whole movie takes place in the Vatican, and it's all about a pope dies, and now we got to elect a new pope, and then there's all these. It's about politicking and trying to get the vote uh, and all that, and oh, this person has a scandal, and it ruins his chances to be pope, and that's kind of what the whole movie is about. And to me, it's just the most uninteresting movie like you can make. Like, hey, we're making a whole movie about who's gonna be next pope, and I'm like, who gives a crap? Like, I don't care who the next pope is, and a movie about that is not interesting. And you can still make a good movie, I suppose, if it was like some interesting stuff happened and it was thrilling or something. Maybe there's something in there, but it's just really boring. It's just a lot of these cardinals sitting in rooms having conversations, and it's just extremely boring and uninteresting. And then at the end, they have this stupid twist that comes out of nowhere. That's like it wasn't even like felt like it wasn't even building up to this moment. It's just all of a sudden this moment happens. I won't reveal exactly what happens here, but this moment happens at the end. This reveal happens, and you're like, what? What? I didn't even understand exactly what was going on. Like, I had to Google, like, what happened? Like, again, if I have to Google what happened in the movie, you're not a good movie. For me, anyways. I just did not understand what was going on. So I'm like, what happened? I don't get what happened there at the end of Conclave. And so then I had to read it and go, okay, I guess. And it's just so weird that happened with like 5 minutes left in the movie, and you're like, okay, here's the big twist. Now the movie's over, and it's like, it's not even like Sixth Sense, like good twist, where like at least at the end of Sixth Sense you get hit with that twist, and you're like, oh wow, that explains so much. I didn't, I wasn't expecting that, but that just changes everything. It's not like that at all. The twist happens, and you're like, okay, I guess. Why? It didn't need it. Didn't need it at all. Didn't do anything. Doesn't help the movie at all, I don't think. Or I don't know, for me anyways. And I'm not Catholic. I am Christian. I'm a Protestant Christian, whatever. But I just get the feeling that this is very blasphemous if you are Catholic. And so I kind of feel for Catholic people because my wife like is Catholic, and I would think if I was Catholic, I'd be very offended by this movie, by what goes on. And so I feel for people who, I'd be interested if anybody's out there that's Catholic, if that's true or not, if I'm just, if I'm correct at all on that. But yeah, it just feels very black. And again, even though I'm not Catholic, I'm Christian. So it does feel like, even though it's blasphemous towards Catholics, it feels a little blasphemous towards Christians as a whole. I don't know. It's just something really weird about the whole idea of the movie, because I know the people who made it aren't Christians, and so in Hollywood's not, very positive towards Christians, as a total, so it makes me think there's some, they did it for bad reasons. Anyways, besides that, yeah, Conclave here at number 6 on my list. Or I get into the top 5, which still doesn't mean they're good movies, but at least they weren't horrible trash like some of the movies I already mentioned, in my opinion. This is a hard one, but number 5, I'm going to go with The Brutalist.